Ladies and gentlemen, today we embark on this far-reaching journey with the timely and meaningful theme, the BRI meets Nepal, a prosperous future of Nepal-China cooperation.
BRI is a public goods provided by China to the world. It's not a strategic tour, but it's an invitation for countries to link to a network. China has every technology to help Nepal to build your infrastructure and connect it to the world.
The implementation or delay in implementation of BRI holds the potential to reshape Nepal-China relations as well. BRI has been among the top priorities for every visiting Chinese delegations to Nepal.
And Namaste. It is with great honor that I stand before you today to extend our heartfelt welcome on behalf of Foundation for Peace, Development and Socialism. Today marks a historic moment as we gather for the inaugural ceremony of the first Kastamandap Dialogue. The capital city of Nepal, Kathmandu, derived its name from Kastamandap. The word Kastamandap originates from the Sanskrit word Kasta. Kasta means wood and Mandap means pavilion, which together translate to wooden pavilion. It is symbolized a historic wooden pavilion located in Kathmandu, built for the wood of a single tree in the 7th century. This iconic structure has long served as a public place for dialogue, community gathering, and the exchange of ideas. In the same spirit, the Kastamandap Dialogue seeks to revive this tradition by gathering people together by creating a common platform for meaningful dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, today we embark on this far-reaching journey with the timely and meaningful theme, the BRI meets Nepal, a prosperous future of Nepal-China cooperation. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, launched by our neighboring socialist country, China, in 2013. BRI is far more than just a connectivity project. It is a philosophy of shared development rooted in the principle of equality, inclusivity, and mutual prosperity. While initiated by China, the BRI is a global development initiative aimed at fostering shared growth and peaceful modernization. At its core lies the fundamental principle of correlation, cooperation, and coexistence. Unlike traditional development models promoted by the global north, which often prioritize profit over people and tend to create dependency rather than empowerment. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, reimagines peaceful modernization as a collective endeavor, emphasizing shared development, mutual respect, and inclusive growth. Rooted in the principle of equality and cooperation, the BRI empowers nations, especially developing countries like Nepal, to chart their own sustainable path to progress while fostering win-win partnership that benefits all. Distinguished participants, as Nepal joined the BRI framework just last year, it has sparked significant debate among think tanks, politicians, academics, and public, reflecting both the opportunity and challenges associated with this initiative. The Kastamandap Dialogue begins at a critical juncture, offering a platform to address precise questions, clarify doubts, and resolve confusions regarding the BRI. By fostering open and inclusive discussion, we aim to bridge the gap between virtual thoughts and the reality behind the BRI, ensuring that its implementation align with Nepal's development priorities and aspirations. To achieve this objective, we have invited a diverse group of scholars, experts, and policymakers from Nepal and abroad. A significant number of distinguished professors and researchers have traveled from China to contribute this dialogue. I would like to heartily welcome Chinese professors and researchers in this very first Customer of Dialogue. While we aim to include scholars from South Asia, technical difficulties limited their participation. Nevertheless, we are honored to have a remarkable gathering of Nepalese experts, policymakers, and researchers who have dedicated their time and expertise to these initiatives. Finally, I would like to stress one thing: the Customer of Dialogue is not just an event. It is an important national initiative that brings together great minds to exchange ideas and find sustainable solutions for the implementation of BRI in Nepal. Over the next 2 days, we will hear from renowned professors, researchers, policymakers, and politicians whose insights will help address doubts, queries, and confusion surrounding the BRI. I expect all participants will make a meaningful contribution from their side and pave the way for prosperous future of Nepal-China cooperation. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all of you and express my gratitude for your presence. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much. Distinguished Right Honorable Speaker Devaraji Jimri, Distinguished Honorable former Prime Minister Chavana Kanal, Distinguished President of the Foundation for Peace, Development and Socialism, Dr. Pal Krishna Man Singh, and my distinguished professors from China, from Nepal, ladies and gentlemen, friends, a very good morning and namaste. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on the convening of this first session of Kashmanda Dialogue, I hope I pronounce right, on the BRI Is Nepal, a prosperous future of Nepal-China cooperation. I want to congratulate you on the Foundation for Peace, Development and Socialism for organizing this very important seminar, dialogue. And I'm deeply honored to be invited as a speaker on this occasion. And thank you for the Dr. Santosh Sharma Padar for sharing of the survey of Nepalese people's view on the BRI. It provided a lot of insights and also make today's dialogue even more relevant. Still, I found that after over a decade of introduction of BRI, after 80 years after Nepal signed the MOU, 3 months after Nepal signed the implementation framework agreements, there's still a lot of misunderstanding or doubts about the BRI in Nepal's community, society, and the people, which make today's seminar even more important and relevant. I know there are many discussions in the past regarding BRI. I know my colleagues from China and Nepal, they will discuss the principles, the projects, the histories of BRI. So today, I want to take the discussion to a new level. So I will share more information on the significance of BRI to Nepal. So today, my speech, the topic will be why BRI matters to Nepal. So you will not heard about the previous discussions about the principles, the major projects under the BRI, how Nepal can benefit it. But I want to provide you with a strategic vision of why BRI is so important. It matters to Nepal, not only matters to Nepal, but matters to the future prosperity of Nepal. So today I will start my presentation. We all know that the BRI, the main area for cooperation is infrastructure. But why this infrastructure is important, what the BRI, by signing to the BRI, can bring to Nepal. BRI is a public goods provided by China to the world. It's not a strategic tour, but it's an invitation for countries to link to a network, to co-develop, to co-prosper. So that's number one. Why China have this confidence to connecting all the countries, 150 countries locked into the BRI? Because China now is leading in global infrastructure connectivity and trades. So next slide, please. I'll just share with you a few facts and the figures, and you will figure out the significance by yourselves. China's high-speed rail has exceeded 48,000 kilometers, which makes it over 60% of the global total in 2024. China's highway mileage exceeded 177,000 kilometers, and which is world's largest. China's highway tunnels, we have over 24,000 tunnels, total length exceeding 27,000 kilometers. And over the 10 largest global ports, China has 7, which is Shanghai, Ningbo, Zhoushan, Shenzhen, etc., by the cargo volume that is traded. So what by mentioning this, what I mean that China's infrastructure is leading the world. We are at the core of the international infrastructure connectivity. So by linking to China, you have opened a new way for connectivity. And also for the very complicated infrastructure developments in Nepal, China has every technology to help Nepal to build your infrastructure and connect it to the world. Make Nepal from a land-linked country making Nepal from a landlocked country to a land-linked countries. By linking to this world-class infrastructure, you can open new chapters for trade opportunities. In 2024, China's foreign trade volume exceeded 438 43.85 trillion RMB, which is the largest in the world. And we have over 150 countries whose largest trading partner is China. But unfortunately, Nepal is not one of them. That is a puzzle. When I arrived in Nepal, the first puzzle I faced. Why Nepal as a close friend, a close neighbor of China, its largest trading partner is not China. Countries as far as in Latin America, the largest trading partner is China. So I see potentials, huge potentials for Nepal to tap into these trading opportunities with China. And also in terms of global tourism market share, China has 10%. The Chinese people traveling overseas. Before COVID, in 2019, we have 155 million people traveling to the world. Now we have recovered to 100 million in 2024. Sorry for the mistake in the slides. It's also a huge market, potential market for Nepal to tap into. As far as I know, Nepal received a little more than 1 million tourist arrivals last year. So I think 100 million Chinese travelers is a huge market for Nepal to tap into. Also, China is a trade hub for global largest commodities, large quantity commodities. For example, China imported 72% of global iron ore exports, which amounted to 1.2 billion tons. Beef, I know that last year we signed the thermally treated buffalo meat export to China agreements. So China imported 3 million tons of beef, which accounted for 24 to 26% of global imports. In terms of soybeans, we imported 100 million tons, accounted for 60 to 68% of global exports. So, this is the first aspect I want to share with you. By connecting with China, Nepal has connected to the world-class infrastructure connectivity network and also the trade network. So that's very important. Second aspect I want to share with you that China is leading the future industrial and technological revolution. The most obvious to our Nepalese audience people is that the EV. Now we can see Chinese brand EVs everywhere in Nepal. That's not coincidence. Because China, we have produced over 60% of all the EVs produced in the world. Next slide, please. Also, we produced 70% of the batteries used in EVs. So some people say that China has a supremacy on EV and EV batteries. That's no joke, it's a reality. Actually, China has taken the lead in every future technologies. EV, just one example that Nepalese people can understand very easily, because you see the EVs, Chinese brand EVs, on the streets of Nepal. But some of the areas Nepalese people may not understand very well, so I want to share a few facts with you as well. For the future energy development technologies, China's annual power generation is 90.2 trillion kilowatts, 30% of global total. Among them, 36% of the total power output is renewable energy. China is taking from 80 to 90% of the solar panel productions. And we are taking 90% of the wind power products. So for the future renewable energy markets, China is leading. Also, for the future energy technologies, which is the fusion technologies, China is also leading with that. The latest development in 2024, China's experimental advanced superconducting tokamak achieved 1,066 second high confinement plasma operation. You probably do not understand what this means. I don't either, because all these technical jargons. What I want to show you is that China is taking lead in the fusion technology as well. Next slide, please. And other areas for the drones. We all know that the big name Dajiang drones. They have taken 70% of the total market share of the world. So China is leading in drone technology. Robots, Same. Unitree company, they're taking 50% of the world markets for the industrial use robots. China is producing and also deployed over 50% of the world total, which put China in a leading position as well. In the AI sector, China have more than 4,000 AI companies. Now the DeepSeek, Chen from Alibaba, and Manus, these three big names, has already paved the future path for AI big models and AI applications. Next slide, please. For quantum computing, Chinese scientists have unveiled the Zuchongzhi third, a 105-qubit quantum processor. This technical jargon is hard to swallow, but put it simply, that China is on a par with the United States in the race to build the world's most powerful quantum computer. Lunar explorations. China will be the first country to build a lunar base on Moon. So by quoting all these areas and statistics, I just want our Nepalese friends to understand. China is leading every future technology and future industries. Third, China has become a global knowledge hub. Many Nepalese people ask me why should I study Chinese? What benefits can I get? This is the answer, because China is becoming the knowledge hub for the world. China's R&D investment reached $458 billion US, which put China as the most heavily invested in research and development country in the world. That is also the reason why China is leading in almost all future technologies and industries. Another reason is China has 11.74 million college graduates every year, which is 1/3 of Nepal's population, of which more than 5 million are engineers, which put China as a 10 versus 1. The United States graduates 600,000 STEM graduates or engineers annually. China's engineer graduation is 10 times of the United States. This huge talent pool provides solid support for China's science and technological developments. The results of high level of R&D investment and high volume of graduates have resulted in technological breakthroughs in China. So for the Natural Index in 2024, China has ranked first globally for 5 consecutive years with natural indexes. So I noticed last year, the South China Morning Post published a sensational article with the title, Sichuan University has beat MIT and Stanford in terms of natural index. They put a list, Nature magazine has put up a list of natural index rankings. The top 10 universities with only one university from the United States, Harvard University. The number 2 to number 10, all from China, with Sichuan University ranks 10th, beating MIT and Stanford. So among the natural publication groups, the highly referenced papers, China is ranking second globally in 2023. As patent applications, China has filed 1.6 million applications in 2023, ranks number 1 globally. In terms of 5G patents, China accounted for 40% of global share, leading in the world. About 5G patents, Chinese companies accounted for 35% of global patents, which is also putting China in lead. Those are the 3 areas I want to share with you today. That is why BRI is so important to Nepal. Because by joining the BRI initiative, Nepal is not about building a road, railway, or airport, or exporting some thermal-treated buffalo meat, or welcoming more tourism from China. By signing up for BRI, Nepal is integrating into a global network of progress with China in the center. Be it infrastructure connectivity, be it trade connectivity, be it industrial developments, be it knowledge sharing. So I want to congratulate Nepalese government and Nepalese community by signing up for the BRI initiative. Nepal has successfully secured a position for future development, future cooperation with China, and future prosperity for your young generations. Yesterday, I saw a Twitter goes viral in Nepal. Some high school students shouting slogans of bring lights to Nepal. But I think shouting slogans does not resolve any problems. By doing concrete work under the BRI framework will resolve the problem and secure a bright future, not only for our friends sitting today, but also for the young generation still sitting in schools. It is our duty to engage the cooperation between China and Nepal under the BRI framework in the right way. It is our duty to start working. It is our duty to embrace Chinese technology, Chinese market, Chinese wisdom, Chinese initiatives, including BRI, because that will bring a more bright future for Nepal and for Nepal's economy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Chen, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Nepal, for his excellent presentation, particularly providing us insights.
In 2019, Nepal and China exchanged state visits of the head of states. Chinese President Xi Jinping paid a historic state visit to Nepal, the first Chinese president to do so in 23 years, elevating the bilateral ties to strategic partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship for development and prosperity. The first point of the joint statement made during his visit states that Nepal and China take BRI as an opportunity to jointly pursue common prosperity, conduct feasibility study for the construction of cross-border railway, and develop connectivity via ports, roads, railways, aviation, and communication under the overarching framework of the Trans-Himalayan multidimensional connectivity network. The visit led to optimism about extensive cooperation and development in China-Nepal relations. However, the implementation of many of those agreements has been delayed. After 7 years, in December 2024, Nepal and China finally signed the BRI framework agreement during the visit of Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli to Beijing. This has now paved the way for further negotiation on specific projects and funding modality for the actual implementation of projects. In Nepal, some see BRI as a magic wheel that will transform Nepal's development. Some others view it with some caution. Therefore, we felt a need to study the matter and analyze the prospects and challenges of implementing BRI in Nepal. To do so, we conducted more than 55 interviews with Nepali policymakers, experts, former policymakers, some science experts, and local stakeholders in Timure. We also went for a 3-day field visit to the Timure-Kerung border point to observe the current state of infrastructure and understand local perspectives. Besides, we conducted a survey of 173 people, which included Nepal's foreign, economic, and security elites between January 1 and February 2025. Some of the survey results have been shared with you, and you can find them in the package that is handed over to you. The study analyzed the prospects and challenges in BRI implementation in economic, financial sense, in strategic ways, bilaterally, politically, and administratively. First, every 3 out of 4 survey respondents identified that Nepal would benefit primarily from the infrastructure connectivity and trade and investment opportunity. Nepal's poor infrastructure, be it in all forms of transportation or otherwise, does not need explanation. During our visit to Timure too, we are surprised to see the sorry state of the way linking Timure to Rasuagari that barely qualifies as a road, let alone an highway to conduct international trade. A Chamber of Nepal Industries report in 2019 identified that Nepal needed 16 to 20 billion USD per year in infrastructure spending in 4 sectors alone. That includes energy, transport, water sanitation, and urban development to achieve the SDG goals. That is roughly half of Nepal's GDP. However, Nepal's own financing capabilities are limited. Nepal had budgeted around $2.5 billion in capital expenditure this fiscal year. In the first 8 months, less than a quarter of that budget has been used, which is about $600 million. Other financing sources, such as aid, with a target of $2 billion in 2024-25, with loan accounting for about 4/5 of the target. Clearly, there is a massive investment gap in Nepal, hindering Nepal's economic growth and development. The trend in aid and government revenue indicates that external support is critical, with doubts over projects such as the MCC and the likelihood of further decline in aid, especially from the West, due to change in policy or money diverted towards their own security or Ukraine. Nepal's LDC graduation in 2026, the alternatives has to be sought. The BRI offers one such opportunity. China has the financial resources, interest, and the capacity to make such an investment in Nepal. However, it is critical to understand that BRI is not China aid. The framework agreement states aid financing modality potential BRI project will be under some form of law. While debt trap diplomacy has gained some currency among BRI detractors, it has to be noted that the most controversial and failed projects in countries such as Sri Lanka and Malaysia were initiated not by China but by the recipient government in pursuit of domestic political agenda. Their debt distress has not arisen predominantly from granting of predatory Chinese loans, but rather from the misconduct of local elites. However, the cases clearly caution against selecting projects based on political calculus and choose projects based on national necessity, priority, and financial prudence. Even our survey shows that 2/3 of the respondents believe that if Nepal faces financial distress, the likely cause will be internal, such as corruption, poor project selection, and time overruns. Only a quarter identified potentially high interest rate as a major cause of concern for debt distress under BRI. Developing connectivity and infrastructure projects without developing ancillary industries, promoting production and employment would not benefit Nepal much. We need to build connectivity to trade, not merely to ease imports from China, but to trade more with China. Despite Beijing's insistence to the contrary, many see BRI as a geopolitical strategy to create a new Sino-centric order. Nepali elites seem to have similar view. The previous one. When asked to describe BRI as a developmental or strategic initiative, 60% of the respondents choose to describe it as a strategic initiative. Nepal's southern neighbor definitely sees BRI as an attempt to increase Chinese presence in South Asia. India has not joined BRI and has pushed Nepal not to join BRI. When Nepal signed the framework agreement, many Indian media, which often represents establishment views though in exaggerated ways, saw it as Nepal choosing China over India and with India's loss of influence in Nepal. It is true that if trade with China or through China becomes competitive, it lessens Nepal's dependency on India and makes Nepal a truly land-linked country, decreasing the leverage that India holds over Nepal's economy. Currently, about 90% of Nepal's trade is with India or via India. Better connectivity in the north will challenge such Indian monopoly. Thus, Nepal has to negotiate a delicate balance. However, there are reasons to be optimistic. Though India has not joined BRI, it is the largest beneficiary of AIIB, a China-led Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And China is the largest trading partner for India as well, implying that New Delhi is not against Chinese fund or trade itself. However, Nepal has to ensure that the legitimate Indian concerns are not compromised with improved connectivity with China. The implementation or delay in implementation of BRI holds the potential to reshape Nepal-China relations as well. BRI has been among the top priorities for every visiting Chinese delegation to Nepal. Frustration and to an extent disillusionment is building in Beijing over repeated promises and failure to take concrete action by Nepal. China is also desperate to show progress in its neighborhood, that too in a friendly neighbor that is in its backyard. This has led to some unnecessary scenarios such as the claim and counterclaim if the Pokhara International Airport is a BRI project. Such rhetorical debate exposes the tension between the two sides and creates mistrust among leaders and public. Given that CCP has included BRI in its constitution and is a guiding strategy to Chinese foreign policy, the way BRI is implemented in Nepal will affect Nepal-China relations. We should not assume that BRI only defines Nepal-China relations, but it is a critical component. Next, BRI affects Nepal's politics and vice versa. No major party are against BRI, though some differences exist over the model of cooperation. The current coalition, for instance, had some differences but was able to sign framework agreement. Yet, they showed some diplomatic immaturity upon return, indicating that BRI remains a political issue as well. BRI is not unique in this case. Every major development project, irrespective of funding source, has been politicized in Nepal. The MCC is a prime example, or hydroelectricity projects changing hands with change in government. Thus, BRI won't be an exception in this case either. The conditionalities of BRI will likely be a political issue, with parties exploiting it for political scoring. Similarly, the absence of a stable government and a reliable political partner was a challenge for BRI. Already, the shortlisted projects have raised concern. For China, it will be a concern if anti-China Chinese sentiments are festered as a result of politicization of BRI or failure of some projects for any reason. Almost half of the survey respondents identify the lack of consensus among political parties to be the most pressing challenge for BRI implementation. If BRI process succeeds, it would be seen as a success of Nepal. But if it fails, finger will also be pointed at Beijing as much as towards Nepal. Finally, a whopping 84% of respondents think that Nepal's preparation for BRI is insufficient. Not surprisingly, almost half of the respondents also believe that proper selection of projects, which is part of the preparation, and other forms of preparation is critical for successful implementation of BRI. However, Nepal's weak institutions and institutionalization are major issues. Nepal has a poor record of cost and time overruns in almost every major infrastructure project, with allegations of corruption being a common theme. For personal or political gain, some Chinese attempt to engage Nepal's bureaucracy has sometimes met with indifference and delay. For instance, one department was reportedly contacted by the Chinese side more than 2,000 times, but the department failed to respond to any of the letters sent by the Chinese. BRI Framework Agreement emphasizes on negotiation. The term itself is used 8 times in the agreement. However, Nepal's expertise in negotiations, technically or politically, has